My name is Fasil Tesfaye, and the name of the business is Goorsha. And we've been operating since 2017. Originally from Addis, yeah, but moved to DC area in about 1990. Lived there a couple of years, and then moved to Bay Area, 11 years. Then back to North Carolina, back to East. And I've been here for the last 16 years in North Carolina. Yeah. So then, before coming to North Carolina, I started business with a limousine business in San Francisco. So I sold that and moved to North Carolina. And I've been here doing smoothie business and now to the restaurant. So that's pretty much my background. I guess, coming in as an immigrant first, that's my first line of work. I worked at Cinnabon as assistant manager and, worked my way up there. And I wanted to do my own business because I didn't have green card. It was taking me a long time to get it, so I couldn't go to school the way I wanted as, international student. So I chose the business side of it, and I've been doing this for the 26 years, working for myself. Goorsha is a long dream that I've been trying to open a restaurant for a while. I never worked in a restaurant. I mean, not even, let alone running a restaurant. I never worked in a restaurant. But I always want to do something that is different. Not, I want it to be like in the downtown area, independent building, but at the same time, that it's a place where we can show our culture, but at the same time, make sure it's modern, make sure it's actually compete with like the bigger restaurants in this country. So that was the concept that I had for better part of 6 years, 7 years. So I've been planning it for 6, 7 years before I actually opened it. So what made me start 𝐏𝐥𝐞𝐥 is we had the space for Goorsha in terms of doing event. We have a lot of corporate event that we actually used to use it for. But after the pandemic, all that business dried out. So, but at the same time, we have the lease on the space, and there's a renovation that we did already halfway. So how can we convert it into, so it will generate its own money, so that way it won't be straining Goorsha. So that's the idea, that converting it quickly into a cafe, and then building up the outdoor space, and then making it available so that way at least we can use that the outside space, and then the inside also we can do something different. Like Goorsha is more like Ethiopian restaurant completely, but here at 𝐏𝐥𝐞𝐥 we can experiment. We can do using the Ethiopian flavor, the 𝐼𝐴Z, the butter, some of like the �ձ, making panini and offering that lunch for people. And so far, we have a good response from our customers, so they like it. And at the same time, you can get coffee. If you're not here for coffee, you can get lunch. It makes it more accessible to everybody. Like the lunch crowd is usually they come in quickly, so they can come and grab and go. Or you can come and chill and sit and have a couple of hours while you're working, spend some time and enjoy your coffee, enjoy your meal. It will be like a space where people are not rushed to get out, like a restaurant does. You don't have to turn the table quickly. So that's the idea. So it's a 3D image. If you go further down, you see it is actually a 3D.
Okay, let's see.
If you see the mini-lake, the monument, so yes, he put the flag in it and made it beautiful, but he didn't put the head castle in. he makes sure he put the bandana on his face, so you can see his face much more. But that's how he used to wear when he was going war for fighting. So kids playing soccer and playing the girls. 𝐷𝐤𝐿𝐿. I don't know if you knew that. Like that water body that you see is King Fasid. He has a swimming pool that's like the most for the royal people to take showers, stuff like that. Like you have like that, like sauna kind of thing. So that's what they do. Part of the reason why Ethiopian restaurants do well outside of, Ethiopia is one, the cultural aspect of it. We don't just sell the food. We're unique in terms of how we present our food, the variety of the food that we have, and the culture we bring into experiencing the food is completely different than anywhere else, than any food that you actually eat as a restaurant. And then it's very difficult to change it completely to make it modern. It's not. And it brings you back to, to the basic in terms of the experience of ethnic food. But, if you see other ethnic foods, they actually adapt to a little bit of the European style. But Ethiopian restaurant is very difficult to change it from what it is. You keep it, and the more authentic it is the more you keep the whole culture with it, and not by itself. I think that's what it is. That's why people are more attracted to it. I don't think it's just only the food. I think wherever we go, we bring our culture to it. Food is part of it. It's a huge part of it. But I think if you think about it, any city that we go to, we still get together. We are very communal society. So we still are with our people in terms of, we still have the elder, we still have, the church. Everything that follows, what we do back home, we bring it wherever we go. I think that has something to do with it also. So you see a lot of, as a country, immigrants, they will come in, they actually assimilate more into this culture than we do. We do assimilate to a certain extent, but we don't let go of what we have. I think that's the difference for us. As much as we assimilate, but the culture, we hold on to it and we pass it to the kids as much as we can. Goorsha means it's the act of feeding one another, like you feed another person. So when you give Goorsha, it means you're showing how much you care. Here, share my meal with me. It doesn't matter, even if you're eating together, you give that person Goorsha as just a sign of respect and being humble to that person. So it means a lot to me in terms of I grew up taking that from our parents. They can't eat food by themselves, without actually sharing that meal with us. So that's the essence of the whole culture that I want people to know. It's not just the food. That's the whole point I named it Goorsha, because Goorsha, we take it for granted for most of us. Most Ethiopians, we take it for granted because we experience it daily, from our parents, from our friends, like we experience it daily. But really, if you think about it, it's the most basic way of expressing yourself and encompassing. Just in one Goorsha, you can tell people that you care about that person. This is a sign of who you are. Like, why don't you share the meal with me? And it has a lot more to it than actually what we experience today. So that person won't give you a Goorsha just for no reason. You have to be very close to them. Your friends, while they're eating, if you arrived, first thing you get is Goorsha from them if they were eating. So, it tells a lot more about our culture, about who we are, than just receiving that food. So that part of it fascinates me, the culture. I think the newer generation, the younger generation, is much more informed and much more educated also than our generation was. For most of us, were during the 80s, the 90s, even before that, information is very limited. you're much more driven what the state media propaganda actually push you. So that's how you're raised. So most of the things that you believe is what you heard growing up. But now people are much more informed. They know what's going on in the US as much as what's going on in the neighborhood. So I think that's driving a lot of young people to ask questions in terms of their leadership within the country, and at the same time participating into their culture and admiring their culture and owning who they are. I think that's coming more into the younger generation than we did. So they're appreciating who they are and the kind of culture that they have. So I think that's driving most people to go back. I mean, I've seen some of our friends that move back to Ethiopia from here. They're appreciating it more now, the culture and who they are, where they came from. So they want to contribute to the country. So I think that is going to happen more often than, what was happening in the 80s and the 90s where people are actually fleeing Africa. I think more and more people will stay home. That's what my hope is, at least. Oh, somebody who is good at what they do. I'm very good at what they do. not just good. But like whatever, if it is cooking, and it's mostly used in the kitchen for people who know how to cook. So they call them Moya. But Moya means it's actually it's more like a career. It's the things that you do, that good at. So when you are Moya, you literally are good at what you do. so that's a good term. I like it.
Who is Moya to you?
Oh my God, I think that comes to my mother. And then my grandmother also. I mean, I know most of, you look at my sisters, all of us, by the way, in our house, we all cook, my brothers. So cooking is like as a family event for us. So when we get together for the holiday, we all around the kitchen, working together and cooking and having fun together. So my parents, and the same thing, my siblings. So, that is passed down from our grandmother to my mother, and now my sisters are good Moyas. So I go back to my mother, how we were raised and how she makes sure we all know how to wash our clothes, how to fix, we all know how to slaughter lamb, all the boys. So she makes sure that we all know that. So that part of it eventually helped us in here to survive. And cooking or living by ourselves hasn't been that difficult for us, for my siblings and I. So I'll go back to my mother for that. My favorite food to cook would be, I would say, dips, because it's quicker. So when you feel it, you just do it quickly, and I love that. But I enjoy cooking like the dorowet and stuff like that, and I love making 𝐏𝐥𝐞, but you don't cook 𝐏𝐥𝐞, so I can't say that. Oh, Mr. Bashai. Like misrot and tea is like the perfect meal for me. I choose that anytime versus dorowet. The advice that I have for people trying to start a restaurant business is, it is difficult, but don't let that discourage you. If that's what you want to do, if you have the passion for it, you can definitely make it. It's much more easier to do that. The hardest part is the financial aspect of it, and then understanding the law, how you're gonna achieve what you want to do. So those are the hardest things, but it is very much doable. And I encourage anybody who wants to do it. I mean, they can definitely do it. It's a matter of whether you want to do it and how much you're willing to put into it. Thank you so much for having me, Cecily. This is very informative, and appreciate it for the time, for the opportunity.